Another thing that shows us that the job market is much worse than we're being told is the increase of job hugging. I don't know if you've heard this term, but it's something that's been in the news a lot lately. And it's basically people who are hanging on to their current job for dear life, which is kind of like the smart thing to do right now, considering nobody knows if they'll be able to find a new one if they were to lose their current job. Right now, the quit rates that measures the pace of voluntary separations from employment is only at 2%, which is the lowest that it's been since 2016. So more and more people are recognizing that now is one of the worst times to quit a job, and they are right. And it also puts employees in a position where they have to kind of go out of their way even more right now to impress their employers. Because if you want to hug your job and make sure you get to keep it, well, you better prove your worth and make sure you appear valuable. Otherwise, you could be the next one on the chopping block. Anybody getting complacent right now in their current role or not looking to outperform their peers or show their boss why they're more valuable than the other employees at the office is putting themselves next in line for the next layoff. That's the reality right now. You kind of have to go above and beyond just to keep your job. You know, we're no longer in the job market that we were a couple years ago, where employers were fighting tooth and nail just to get anybody through the door. You know, they couldn't get enough people. You know, they had all these hiring incentives and bonuses and work from home promises and different things that you could do. Now all that stuff is gone. And the other thing that we usually see in a lot of years, especially now that we're approaching fall, is usually see an uptick in jobs in the fall due to the holiday shopping season. A lot of retailers, a lot of delivery companies, you know, places like Walmart and Target and UPS and the post office and FedEx, all these companies, Amazon, that are in charge of delivering all of our holiday junk, they typically see big surges in hiring every single year. But there's a lot of doubt that there's going to be a big spike in hiring this fall and holiday season, because other companies typically will hire more in the fall also, as they start to see that there might be some room left in their yearly budget, and some companies will step up the hiring this time of year. But what are we seeing instead? We're seeing kind of the opposite. I know we only have the August numbers so far. We don't have September or moving into October. Those will come. But it's going to be interesting to see if we see any improvements at all. Because so far, the way things are going, it doesn't look like it. Because this year, things are quite different. This year, we have the tariffs, which companies haven't had to really deal with in a while, at least all the new tariffs that we have. And with all the uncertainty, a lot about where things are going, what's going to happen with interest rates, a lot of companies are kind of putting a pause on hiring anybody, even if they might need the help. We already know we're in a white-collar recession for the past 2.5 years, really. And kind of the only industries that have been keeping the jobs numbers afloat over these past several readings has been healthcare and retail and hospitality, guys. If it wasn't for those three industries, we would be seeing major negative jobs numbers month over month right now. And of course, the positive readings we do get are before the revisions come in. And we just saw how bad the latest revisions was, with over 900,000 fewer jobs created over the past year than we were initially told. Right now, our country added the fewest number of jobs in the first 8 months of 2025 since 2010, the only exception being the pandemic. Also, take a look at this and remember what we talked about in the beginning here about how the job market's supposedly not that bad, according to The Economist. Well, look at this. The Labor Department figures are showing that the number of people who have been looking for work for more than 6 months, which puts them in the long-term category for unemployment, which means they're not counted in the current unemployment figures, has reached the highest level since the end of the pandemic, guys. So why aren't these people counted again? On top of that, you have about 53% of workers right now reporting that they are fearful that they would get laid off. That's more than half of everybody with a job who's worried about losing that job. And a whopping 90% of people said that if they were laid off right now, they would have no clue on what they would have to do, or they're completely unprepared to hunt for a new job. I think when you add all this stuff up, that it's very obvious that the jobs market is much worse than we're being told, not better, like they're trying to paint the picture of. But I gotta admit, it is kind of comical to hear these stories and just kind of read the things they put out there to try and make people see things in a different light on how the economy might not be as bad as it looks and feels to everybody out there. Like, I got to give them an A for effort when it comes to creativity and trying to twist the narrative into something positive. And of course, no matter how bad things get, there's always something positive to look at in life. I'm definitely not saying that's not the case, but I don't like being lied to, and I don't like people being gaslit from the government and from economists trying to convince everyone that everything's okay when they know that things are not. But instead of admitting that and trying to address these problems, they just lean further into the lie and try to make everybody think that it's okay, which I think is wrong. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.